Welcome to Wheels Up with Sunrise on Wheels. I'm Michele Newman. Today's program is all about the solar system. And like all Wheels Up episodes, it has 3 segments. First, I'll take you on a trip visiting all 8 planets of the solar system. Next, we'll craft with Caroline, making our very own Constellation Viewer, an amazing solar system mobile, and a galaxy jar. Next, I hope you'll play along as we play Solar System Trivia. The worlds around our sun run the gamut from small and lifeless chunks of rock to huge globes of gas. The solar system is made up of the sun and all of the smaller objects that move around it. Apart from the sun, the largest members of the solar system are the 8 major planets. You can remember the planets by the mnemonic, "My very educated mother just served us noodles." So today I want to take you on a trip exploring all 8 planets. Nearest the sun are 4 fairly small, rocky, or terrestrial planets. My very educated mother, M for Mercury, V for Venus, E for Earth, and a second M for Mars. Beyond Mars is the asteroid belt, a region populated by millions of irregular objects which are leftovers from the formation of the planets 4.5 billion years ago. We cannot see them with our eyes, but they're visible using a telescope. On the far side of the asteroid belt are the 4 gas giants, represented by just served us noodles: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. These planets are much bigger than Earth, but very lightweight for their size, kind of like a balloon. They're mostly made of hydrogen and helium. Until recently, the furthest known planet was an icy world called Pluto. However, Pluto is dwarfed by Earth's moon, and many astronomers think it's too small to be called a true planet. Let's begin our trip at the planet closest to the sun, Mercury. Named after the winged messenger of the gods, Mercury is the smallest planet in a very rocky world. It's only as wide as the Atlantic Ocean, and 18 Mercuries could fit inside Earth. Mercury is a lot like the Earth's moon, only a little bigger. Its surface is covered with impact craters. It has no atmosphere, no water, and no moons. As the planet nearest the sun, the surface of Mercury can reach a scorching 840 degrees Fahrenheit, although it's not as hot as Venus. Because it doesn't have enough atmosphere to entrap any heat, at night temperatures can plummet to minus 275 degrees. That's cold. A year on Mercury goes by fast, just 88 Earth days. So if you lived on Mercury, you'd have a birthday every 3 months. Venus is the second planet from the sun and the hottest planet in the solar system. It appears as a brilliant morning or evening star, the brightest object in the night sky apart from the moon. In a telescope, it can be seen to go through phases, just like our moon. Venus is so bright because it's covered by clouds that reflect much of the incoming sunlight. The yellowish clouds are made of sulfur and sulfuric acid that traps carbon dioxide and keeps Venus toasty warm. In fact, it's so hot on Venus, it can reach an amazing 900 degrees. So hot that metals like lead would be puddles of melted liquid. Venus is about the same size as Earth, just a little smaller. It has mountains and volcanoes, but no moon. Venus is unusual because it spins the opposite direction of Earth and most other planets, and its rotation is the slowest. 1 Earth year on Venus is 225 days. Our home planet Earth is next. Its solid and active surface with mountains, valleys, canyons, plains, and so much more. Earth is special because it's an ocean planet with water covering 75% of Earth's surface. It's the only planet in our solar system we know of that supports life. Our atmosphere is made mostly of nitrogen and has plenty of free oxygen for us to breathe. The atmosphere also protects us from incoming meteorites. most of which break up in our atmosphere before they can strike the surface. Everyone on Earth is a traveler through space. Earth zooms around the sun at a speed of over 1,000 miles per hour. That's fast. And it takes 365 days, 1 year, to complete one orbit of the sun. The rotation is a day, and that's 24 hours. It also spins very quickly, like a top that is leaning to one side. People living at the equator travel from west to east at a speed of more than 1,000 miles per hour. The speed's slower for people living near the poles. Since everything around us is moving in the same way, we don't notice our high-speed journey. The most obvious way to tell is to watch the sun, moon, and stars as they appear to move across the sky. The tilt of the axis that joins the North and South poles means the Earth has seasons. When the North Pole points towards the sun, it's summer in the northern countries. When the North Pole points away from the sun, these countries have their winter. The seasons are the exact opposite to the south of the equator. Our next and fourth planet from the sun is Mars, often called the red planet because it appears in the sky as an orange-red star. The color caused the ancient Greeks and Romans to name it after their god of war. Today, thanks to visiting spacecrafts, we know that the planet's appearance is due to rusty iron in the Martian rocks. Mars is a cold desert world. It's half the size of Earth, and like Earth, Mars has seasons, polar ice caps, mountains 3 times higher than Mount Everest, and the deepest, longest valley in the solar system. It has a very thin atmosphere, 100 times thinner than on Earth, and is mostly made up of carbon dioxide. It's also bitterly cold. Its warmest days would be similar to winters in Antarctica. Several NASA missions have visited Mars, and Mars is the only planet we've ever sent rovers to. They drive around Mars taking pictures and measurements. The dust storms of Mars are the largest in the solar system, capable of blanketing the entire red planet and lasting 4 months. Next up and beyond the asteroid belt is Jupiter, the 5th planet from the Sun and the biggest planet in our solar system. Everything about Jupiter is large. It's so big it could swallow all the other planets. More than 1,300 Earths would fit inside. It also weighs more than twice as much as all the other planets. And despite its huge size, Jupiter is the fastest spinning planet. Each day goes by in only 10 hours. It's a giant ball of gas with no solid surfaces. It's mostly made of hydrogen and helium. It's covered in swirling cloud stripes, and it has rings, but they're faint, and so you can't see them very well. The most extraordinary feature on Jupiter's surface is undoubtedly the Great Red Spot, a giant storm seen for more than 300 years. At its widest diameter, the Great Red Spot is roughly 3 times as wide as Earth. Every now and again, the spot fades entirely. Jupiter is also orbited by the largest family of moons, 79 at the last count. Next up is Saturn, the 6th planet from the Sun. It was thought to be the furthest of the planets until the telescope was invented. Saturn may be most famous for its spectacular rings, but Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune have rings too. Saturn has a lovely set of 7 main rings with spaces between them. The rings are made of chunks of ice and rock. One ring, too faint to be seen from Earth and discovered just in 2009, measures at least 200 times the diameter of the planet. Like Jupiter, Saturn is mostly a ball of hydrogen and helium. It's smaller than Jupiter and weighs very little. If you could put all the planets in a pool of water, what a funny thought. Saturn's the only one that would float. Despite its size, Saturn spins one rotation in a little more than 10 hours. Its spin is so rapid it bulges outward at the equator, making it look a little like a ball that's been squashed. Did you know Saturn also has a huge, persistent, hexagonal, 6-sided cloud formation at its north pole? Saturn's hexagon is one of the most unusual and easily recognized features in the solar system. Uranus is the 7th planet from the Sun, and it is an ice giant. Although it has a gas surface, much of the interior of the planet is made up of frozen elements. It has the coldest atmosphere of any of the planets in the solar system, even though it's not the most distant from the Sun. That's because Uranus has little to no internal heat to supplement the heat from the Sun. Uranus is tilted so far that it essentially orbits the Sun on its side. with the axis of its spin nearly pointing at the star. Something huge must have smashed into the planet billions of years ago and knocked it over. If you could stand at the North Pole of Uranus, which of course you can't because you would sink, it's all made of gas, you would see the sun appear on the horizon, circle higher and higher for 21 years, then circle back down the horizon over the course of another 21 years. Once the sun went below the horizon, you would have to wait another 42 years before the sun appeared again. Pretty crazy, right? Uranus appears blue because of the methane gas in its atmosphere. Unlike Saturn, it has rings, 13 faint rings. The inner rings are narrow and dark, and the outer rings are brightly colored and easier to see. Uranus has numerous moons, none of which are very big. Our last and final planet is Neptune, the 8th planet from the Sun, a dark, cold, and very windy planet. Neptune, like Uranus, is an ice giant planet. That means it has a gas surface, but an interior composed of solid ice and rocky core about the size of Earth. The methane gives Neptune the same blue color as Uranus, which is fitting with it being named after the Roman god of the sea. Neptune has a small ring system similar to Saturn, but not nearly as large or as visible. On Neptune, one can find jet streams, winds traveling at more than 1,500 miles per hour. It remains a mystery as to how it gets the energy to drive the fastest planetary wind seen in the solar system, despite it being so far from the Sun, at times further from the Sun than Pluto, and having relatively weak internal heat. It has 14 known moons, and by far the largest is Triton, an icy world that is even bigger than Pluto. Triton is very cold, so its thin atmosphere is frozen onto the surface. However, it does have many active ice volcanoes that spurt plumes of glass and dust. Triton is also unusual because it travels the wrong way around Neptune. It seems to have been captured by Neptune's gravity long ago. Well, our trip around the solar system has come to an end. Do you have a favorite planet? Well, what did you think of our trip to outer space? Let's go craft with Caroline.
Hi, my name is Caroline, and I'm so excited to do arts and crafts with you today. Today's video was all about the solar system, so today we're going to make 2 really fun solar system themed crafts and a really fun science experiment at the end. We're going to make a solar system mobile, a constellation viewer, and a really cool galaxy jar. I hope you have fun! So first we are going to make a constellation viewer so that you can make stars on your ceiling. So what you will need is a piece of paper, some tin foil, or if you don't have tin foil, you can also use a thin piece of paper, some glue, and a pencil with a point. So the first step is we're going to take our paper and fold it in half, this way, like this. And then you could take your glue and put some glue on the inside and then stick it down so that it stays closed. And next, we're going to roll up our paper so that it becomes our viewer. And if you have a toilet paper roll, you can use that instead of doing this part. And at the very end, I'm going to put some more glue so that it stays together. And now you have your paper all rolled up like this. I might need a little bit more glue. Okay, and the next step, if you want, you can decorate your viewer. So you can use markers or crayons, and you could decorate it however you want. You could draw like planets or stars or whatever you want. And the next step is you're going to take your tin foil or your thin paper, and you only need a little bit, so I'm going to take some off. And I'm going to put it on top of my viewer. And then I'm going to take my pencil And if you want for this part, you can make it a shape of a constellation, but I'm just going to poke some holes so that it looks like stars, like that. And now you can get a phone and make sure you have the flashlight on, and I shut off all my lights, and you can put your phone underneath, and when you shine it up on the ceiling, it looks like stars. And it's day now, so it's a little bit too bright outside, but if you do it at night, it'll look really cool and it'll look like stars around your ceiling. So now we are going to make a mobile that has planets on it. So what you will need is some black paper, some white paper, glue, scissors, something to decorate your white paper with to make the planet, so either markers or crayons. And if you want to make stars, you can use a white crayon. And I'm using this as a guide for the colors of the planets and the distance from the sun and how big they are. So first, we're going to take our black paper and I'm going to cut a big circle. So I'm going to use as much of the paper as I can to make the circle big, just like this. And next, we're going to start cutting our circle so that it looks like a spiral and it can bounce. So I'm going to start here. And you don't want it too thin because you want to make sure that you could fit the planets on it. But I'm going to continue going around and around until I have one little circle in the middle for the sun. And I'm almost done. Like this. So now what I did is I used my white paper and I cut out almost all of the planets. So Mercury is the smallest, so it's about this size. Then it's Venus, which is bigger. Then Earth is about the same size. Then Mars is a little bit smaller. Jupiter is even bigger. And next is Saturn, and I'm going to teach you how to cut out that one because it has a ring around it, so it's a little bit harder to cut out. But it's going to be a little bit smaller than Jupiter, so I'm going to put it next to it so that I can see. Just a little bit smaller, like that. And then the ring is going to go around it like that. So now I'm going to cut this out, but you're only going to cut it out like this. So only like the outline. Then after Saturn is Uranus and Neptune, which are about the same size as Venus and the Earth. So next I'm going to color all of my planets. So now, as you can see, I colored all of my planets, and now we're going to glue them onto the mobile. So now we are going to glue on our planets onto our mobile, and we're going to start, which is the planet which is closest to the sun, which is Mercury. So I'm going to put some glue on, and I'm going to place it right here. And our sun is going to go there later, but we're going to do that after we finish gluing on the planets. And to remember how far the planets are from the sun, you can remember my very educated mother just served us noodles. So that will make you remember how far each planet is from the sun. Because it goes Mercury, then Venus, then Earth, then Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn, then Uranus, then Neptune. So next goes Earth. Then Mars, and make sure that you're only putting glue in the middle because you don't want the planets to get stuck to the other pieces of the mobile. Then goes Jupiter, and then Saturn, then Uranus, and then Neptune goes on at the very end. And now we are going to make our sun, which is going to go right here on our mobile. And if you were confused at all when gluing on the planets, just think of it as like a maze. So it's a spiral. So each planet is going to go on one piece of the mobile. And next we're going to make our sun. So you want to cut out a circle like this. And I'm going to cut out about 8 rectangles to become rays on my sun. So I'm going to color each of the rays and the sun yellow and a little bit of orange and red to make it more than one color. So now I'm going to glue my rays onto my sun. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue and glue them on behind the sun so that it looks like they're coming up behind it. And I'm going to glue all of them on. And you don't have to do this, but I think it makes it more fun. You can add as many rays as you want onto your sun. So now that I have all the rays on, I'm going to put some glue on the back of my sun. And now I'm going to glue it on, and make sure you pick this part up so that it only gets on here. And I'm going to glue it onto the top of my mobile, just like that. And now you have your finished mobile, and it bounces and it's really fun, and you can even hang it up if you want, and it will look really cool. So now I'm going to show you how to make a galaxy jar, and this is more to watch, but if you ever want to make it, you can. And make sure that you have something under your surface because it's a little bit messy since you're using paint and glitter. So what you will need is paint. I'm using 3 different colors, but you could also use 2 different colors. You need glitter, some cotton balls, a jar to put the galaxy jar in, and you need 3 different cups of water. If you're only using 2 colors, then you only need 2 cups of water, and you also need something to mix it with, so I'm using 3 different spoons. So the first step is I'm going to mix my paint with my water. So first I'm going to take my blue paint, and you don't have to use, if you're making this, you don't have to use the same colors as me, but you can if you want to. I'm going to make sure I have enough paint so that it makes the water blue. Maybe a little bit more. So now I'm mixing my last color, which is pink. And now I'm going to start building my jar. So first I'm going to take some cotton balls and I'm going to make them a little bit bigger like this, spread them out. I'm going to do that to each one so that they take up a little bit more room and so that the water absorbs into them. Okay. So I'm going to put some more. And I used about 6 cotton balls so that it just covers the bottom, and it'll go down a little bit when you add in the water mixed with the paint. So now I'm going to add some glitter. Maybe a little bit more so it's really sparkly. And my first color is going to be blue. So now I'm going to pour that on top. And when I pour it, as you can see, the cotton balls kind of start to absorb it, and then they will go more down. Okay. And next, I'm going to repeat, but instead I'm going to use the next color. So I'm going to put more cotton balls, a few more so that it covers it. Okay. And now I'm going to add some more glitter. And my next color is going to be purple. So now I'm pouring in my purple on top. And my final color is pink. So I'm going to put more cotton balls. Then I'm going to put some more glitter. And then I'm going to pour my pink water mixed with the pink paint. So now we have our finished galaxy jar, and you could put the lid on. You could keep it to look at, and it looks really nice with all the glitter and the different colors. I hope you had fun making these solar system themed crafts with me. Bye!
Who's ready to play solar system trivia? 10 questions, 4 answers, only one of which is correct. Who's ready to play? Question number 1. Which planet has the hottest temperatures? A. Mercury, B. Venus, C. Earth, or D. Mars? Which planet has the hottest temperature? And the answer is B. Venus. Question number 2. Which is the coldest planet of the solar system? A. Earth, B. Mars, C. Neptune, or D. Pluto? Which is the coldest planet of the solar system? And the answer is C. Neptune. Question number 3. Why is Mars called the red planet? Is it A. There's iodine in the air, B. Methane gas, C. The red water, or D. Its soil contains iron rust? Why is Mars called the red planet? And the answer is D. Its soil contains iron rust. Question number 4. Which planet rotates on its side? Is it A. Neptune, B. Earth, C. Uranus, or D. Mercury? Which planet rotates on its side? And the answer is C. Uranus. I didn't even know this until I was doing this movie. Question number 5. Which planet has, or which planets have, rings? Is it A. Jupiter, B. Saturn, C. Neptune, or D. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune all have rings? And the answer is they all have rings, even though Saturn is by far the largest ring system. Question number 6. Which planet is closest to the Sun? A. Mercury, B. Venus, C. Earth, or D. Mars? Which planet is closest to the Sun? And the answer is A. Mercury. Question number 7. How many planets are rocky or terrestrial? Is it A. 2, B. 4, C. 6, or D. 8? How many planets are rocky? And the answer is B. It's the first 4. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Question number 8. How many planets are made of gas? A. 2, B. 4, C. 6, or D. 8? How many planets are made of gas? And the answer is B. 4. There are 8 planets total, and 4 of them are made of gas, the last 4, the furthest from the Sun. Question number 9. Where is the major asteroid belt in the solar system? Ooh, this is a hard one. A. Just outside of Pluto, B. Between Earth and Mars, C. Between Neptune and Saturn, or D. Between Mars and Jupiter? Where is that major asteroid belt? And the answer is it's between Mars and Jupiter. Our last and final question, question number 10. Which planet is the largest planet in the solar system? Is it A. Mercury, B. Venus, C. Jupiter, or D. Saturn? Which planet is the largest planet in the solar system? And the answer is C. Jupiter. Jupiter is so big. Anyway, thanks so much for playing trivia with me today. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to watch more Wheels Up episodes, you can find us on YouTube at Sunrise Association. Wheels Up has its own playlist, or download our app at Sunrise Studios. I look forward to seeing you next time.